Hey guys, Rocco again with ActiveGearReview.com, and today we're going to be talking about what I like to call a hybrid performance pant. And what that is to me is a pant that can pull a lot of different duties, not just double duty, but something that you could take from trail to town to office and kind of anything in between. Some of these pants that you'll see on test today will do that a little bit better and might be a little bit more versatile. And then some of them are a little bit more specialized, but we'll kind of talk about each one of them and then discuss their pros and cons, who they might be best suited for, and honestly what I thought of them. And let's keep in mind, I want to throw this caveat out there right now. Whenever you're reviewing clothing, it's always very specific to the end user. So anything as far as fit or color or style is very personal to me as the reviewer. So take that with a grain of salt. If something fits me great or doesn't fit me well, doesn't mean that it's going to apply the same way to you and your body type. So keep that in mind, and we'll kind of talk about the little differences between each and how they fit. And I tried to keep them as close together as possible, but there's going to be a little bit of a difference. So let's just dive in and let me introduce each of the 6 pairs that we have on test today, and then we'll go into each one and talk about them individually. So the first one's kind of the heavy hitter in the bunch here. It's the Prana Brion pant, and if you, unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you've heard of Prana, especially if you're involved in the outdoor space. They've been around for a long time. They produce really good clothing and gear, and their Zion material, which is what the Brion pant is made out of, is pretty well known in the space. And you can find, you can find Prana at most outdoor retailers. REI carries it in store. Online retailers, they're pretty much ubiquitous in the outdoor space and can be found just about anywhere. But this is the Brion pant, and this isn't, there is a Zion stretch pant, which is their more outdoor focused pant. This is kind of their everyday pant, and we'll get into more detail on it, but I wanted to, same material as the Zion stretch, but it's a little bit, it's been softened a bit, so it's a little bit more appropriate for everyday. Then we have the Toad&Co, and I'll be honest, Toad&Co wasn't a brand that I had a lot of familiarity with. I had heard of them. I had never tried any of their products, but I'm actually glad that I did. This is their Rover 2 pant. Again, a hybrid technical. Using the word technical is always a little bit of a misnomer because it makes you think of mountaineering and such, but these pants can pull duty as an outdoor pant, but they also do well around town, much like the Prana does. And the material is, there's no cotton in any of these pants. There's no cotton. They're all kind of hybrid materials, very stretchy and durable, and in some cases water resistant, and so on and so forth. Third pant on test is another brand that I didn't have a lot of experience with. Again, I had heard of them, but they had been off my radar for a while. And this is the Bluffworks lightweight travel pant. This one is a little bit more refined. It is a Chino style, so it does dress up a little bit more. It can still pull duty on a trail for sure because it's got that stretch. It breathes really, really well. But there are some differences between this pant and the 2 that I had already mentioned, but we'll get into that. Next up, we have the 686 Everywhere Pant, and this is the slim fit version. They also have a classic fit version. Actually, they have multiple versions of this pant and fit, and I'll get into that a little bit later. The 686 is kind of unique in the bunch. It is a little bit more casual for sure, and I'll dive into that, but again, very, very stretchy, very breathable. Would have no problem going for a hike in these or running to a bar to grab a drink with a friend. These are definitely a good contender for a very versatile pant, but it does have a few quirks, and we'll get into that as well. Sure, anybody who's been in the outdoor space has heard of Outdoor Research. This is the Outdoor Research Ferrosi Transit Pant. And if you're familiar with Outdoor Research at all, you've probably heard about, or even maybe have tried their Ferrosi line of pants. They have different styles with the same fabric, very, very stretchy, very lightweight. They have more technical styles, and then this is kind of their more everyday style. So if you're looking for something more very much focused on hiking, outdoor space, mountaineering, there are other versions that are probably going to be better suited to that. This one does a little bit of everything, and it does it pretty well, and we'll get into that. Last on test is the Ketl Mountain Tomfoolery Chino pant. And the Tomfoolery is a a really interesting pant. I've wanted to try these pants for quite a while, and I'm glad I did because they're kind of a unique pant in what they do and what they don't do. But I'll get into the specifics on why I kind of like this pant an awful lot. But it's going to sound like a bit of a contradiction because there are some little niggles in this pant design that bug me, but I also really like this pant. So we'll dive into the details here shortly. So if there's a specific pant that you're interested in, go ahead and jump to that portion of the video. You'll see it marked below. But if not, if you're just going to want to do an overall kind of look at all of them, stay tuned. Well, let's get into it. Okay guys, so let's start off with our deep dive into the Prana Brion pant, and that's B-R-I-O-N, not like the name B-R-I-A-N, just so for some clarity's sake. The Brion pant is a pant that I've been familiar with because I have actually a couple pairs of my own that I purchased with my own money, and I really like it, and it really comes down to the material. I think Prana has absolutely crushed it with the Zion material. It's got a two-way stretch. With his, I wouldn't say these are the most stretchy pants on test today, but there's plenty of stretch, more than enough for everyday activities. We'll get into a few others that have more stretch to them if that's something that you're looking for. But the Brion pant is just a nice pant that's a good everyday pant. There's not a lot of features to it. It's very much a straightforward, almost kind of think of it as a blue jean replacement style. 5-pocket styling. Very straightforward. It's got a fixed waist, so it doesn't really stretch much in the waist. Reinforced buttons and the rivets and the zippers are all high quality. Everything's done right here. It's just there aren't a lot of features. So if you're looking for a really feature-rich pant, this one probably isn't it. But what I think it does really well is it can do a lot of different things without bringing a lot of attention to itself. So if you work in an office, for example, and it's a relatively casual office, I think these pants would be great for that. You can also go for a hike in them. There's a gusseted crotch area, so it gives you a little bit more room for the fellas. It's not overly done, which a couple of these that I'll get into kind of fall into that category of too much gusset, but I'll explain that later. Everything functions really well. The pockets are deep, they're mesh lined, as you can see here. So they breathe and they also stretch. There's that interior kind of coin pocket, which, you know, it's great for a credit card or loose change or something like that. Kind of your standard back pockets, minimal branding, which is also nice. Again, if you work in an office or you're sensitive to branding on your clothing, other than that little pocket patch, there's not much to them as far as the branding is concerned. And they really do just a little bit of everything really, really well. I would have no problems wearing these out on a date night, for example, if you're, casual date night or out with friends grabbing a beer. If I was going for a light hike, for example. If I was doing something, if I was doing overnighting or I was backpacking or something like that, I'd probably go for the stretch Zion pant. That one's got a little bit more functionality. It has a built-in belt. There's a cargo pocket version of it as well. Some of them have clasps at the bottom of the leg so you can cinch them. There's a lot more functionality to them, but again, that style of pant you probably wouldn't wear on a date or to the office, whereas this pant you definitely could. Same material, kind of a straight fit. I wouldn't call these a slim fit. Prana used to make a slim fit version of this pant, and I don't see it on their website right now. So I don't know if it's just on hiatus or it'll come back. But that being said, this straight fit is not obnoxious. It's just a typical straight fit. If you've come, if you grew up wearing Levi 501s, this is kind of a very similar fit. Just a straight, very clean fit. I would say it's more fitted in the waist and the upper thigh area, and then it kind of just loosens a bit, but I would never call them relaxed. As you can see in some of the kind of the active footage, they just fit well. They do a little bit of everything really, really well. They do come in a lot of waist sizes, which is nice. Prana's known for that. So if you're an in-between, if you're not a 32 or a 34 or a 36, but you're a 33 or maybe you're a 35, they've got you covered, which is really nice. So you can dial in that fit. If you want something that's a little bit more of a tailored fit, obviously size down. If you want something roomier, size up. And you've got that latitude because they're just 1-inch increments. And again, same thing with inseams, 30, 32, 34. Really nice. A couple years back, Prana tried to redesign the Zion fabric with what they called a re-Zion. And the re-Zion fabric was even more recycled. This does have recycled material in it, but the Re-Zion really leaned in hard on the recycled material, which I applaud Prana for doing that. They did get a lot of backlash because the material, quite frankly, just wasn't as nice. I do have a pair of those. I bought one pair and that was it, whereas I have several pair of the original Zion fabric. That fabric, and there are still some samples out there. You'll see them in some retailers, for example, or online. You might find some. I think Prana might even have some still on their website. So if you really are focused on the sustainability factor of your clothing, look up the Re-Zion fabric. It's going to be a little bit harder to find, but it doesn't stretch as well, it didn't breathe as well, and it had this odd sheen to it. It just wasn't the same. As you can see, like, these just have such great stretch. They breathe incredibly well. You can wear them in the summertime without overheating, and there's no sheen. So again, the Prana Brion, great pant, does a little bit of everything really, really well. And I think it really can pull triple duty for trail, town, office, assuming it's a casual office, without drawing attention to the fact that you're wearing a performance styled pant. Next up, we have the Toad&Co Rover 2 pant. Now this pant, again, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't have much experience with. Across the board with Toad&Co, as a brand, I hadn't had much experience with them. So this was a new one to me, and I had really no expectations, whereas like with the Prana, I kind of knew what I was getting since I had tried their clothing before. But this one was kind of the dark horse. It really surprised me since I didn't know much about it. It's a really nice pant. Very similar in style to the Prana Brion pant, but with a few subtle differences. This I would call, again, very much a blue jean kind of replacement. So if you're a blue jean guy, that you're a blue jean in and out every day, that's your thing, these would be an awesome place to start if you're looking for something with a little bit more performance orientation to it, or something with a little bit more stretch than your typical denim, or that can do multiple things than denim. Whereas, denim, you really wouldn't want to wear that if you're doing any kind of serious hiking, for example, whereas these, you could definitely do that. Very stretchy. A little bit of give in the waist, not much. It's more of a fixed waist, similar to the Brion, but the material is a little heavier weight than the Zion material from the Prana Brion pant. It has a little bit more of a toothy feel to it, and what I mean by that is there's a little bit more texture. The Brion pant feels a little smoother, but very similar kind of material. These two definitely kind of went head to head in most of my testing. And what's nice about these is that Toad&Co was not screwing around with durability. As you can see here, reinforced seams everywhere. The stitching is on point. Everything is reinforced. If you are planning to wear these outdoors, or you're somebody who beats up your clothing because you live in it, these pants are going to deliver. Obviously, the rivets and the pockets, you can see this kind of stuff that's just, it's really meant to take a beating and kind of come back for more, which it does really, really well. Little hook inside to hang them if that's your thing. This kind of chambray meshy material that lines the pockets is nice because it breathes a little bit. The pants overall, I felt breathed really well. Especially, I was a little concerned being that they feel a little heavier weight, more like a denim, that they might not breathe as well, but they breathe great. Really appreciate the double belt loops on the back so that if you wear a belt and you're a belt guy, it doesn't kind of do that weird pull in the middle thing. It definitely distributes the load better. 5 pockets, actually 6 pocket styling, typical denim kind of blue jean style with the coin pocket again, and then these kind of deep hand pockets, which are nice. 2 back pockets, but then there's also this little hidden pocket back here, and this is kind of unique to this pant. Has just a touch more functionality to it than, for example, the Prana Brion. And it's a little hidden zipper pocket, and if you don't really know it's there, especially if you're wearing a shirt that isn't tucked in, you're not going to see this pocket. It's very hidden. The zipper pull is very minimal, so it's not going to show up much if you're sensitive to that. But this is a neat pocket for if you want to throw some cash in here, credit cards. You can get a phone in here. Now this is an iPhone 13 Pro, not the Max, just the Pro. It does have a case on it, but it slides in no problem. But you can see it just breaks the top of the pocket. Now I can zip this. If I really work it, I can zip it, but it's kind of a pain, to be honest. But if you're someone who doesn't use a case on their phone, you'll be fine. If you have the Max, it's going to fit width-wise, no problem, but the height of it is going to stick out slightly. But you know what I really like about this, especially with my phone or maybe a credit card, something that's a little bit more fragile or that could potentially break, because this pocket rides just slightly higher than that typical back pocket. When you sit down with something in that pocket, it doesn't feel like you're gonna like snap your phone in half, for example, because it just sits up higher like on your hip than it does like under your butt, for example. So that is just kind of a unique little feature, and I actually have used it for my phone quite a bit. And I like that because if I am sitting down, I don't feel like I have to pull my phone out of my pocket and put it on the table or wherever I am. I can leave it in my pocket and it doesn't feel like it's gonna bend or a credit card's not gonna snap, for example. Toad & Company calls this their lean fit. I don't know that I would call it lean. I'm splitting hairs here. It's more of a straight fit to me. That being said, it isn't as, it's slimmer than the Prana Brion for sure. So maybe lean, it would be a good term, kind of in between slim and straight. You could call it lean. I think the fit is very dialed, especially for me. It's a very clean fit. It doesn't feel like you're wearing baseball pants, so it's not overly slim and it's not going to make you look like you're trying out for a Little League. But it does a great job as far as the fit and just looking polished and clean. And again, hiking in it, no problem. Date night, absolutely no problem. And again, casual office, absolutely no problem. Again, and the nice thing about Toad & Company, similar to the Brion, even less so than the Brion, very minimal branding. So again, if you're sensitive to that or you work in an environment that is sensitive to something like that, you're not going to really notice that. So overall, great pant. Again, awesome blue jean replacement. So if you're a blue jean guy and you're looking for something a little bit more water resistant or quick drying or breathable or doesn't bag out as much as denim does, I think the Toad & Company would be an amazing candidate to kind of fill that role. Next up, we have the Bluffworks lightweight travel pant. And again, kind of like the Toad & Company version, Bluffworks was a brand that I didn't have a lot of experience with. So this was a new one to me and I had really no expectations for them, and they really did impress. This pant is the Chino version. As you can see, kind of these vertical pockets as opposed to the 5-pocket kind of denim jean style. And speaking of pockets, there are 9 pockets on this bad boy. So they're kind of a unique pant in that they're the dressiest pant of this group, this Chino style. This is the slim fit version as well. They do have a regular fit version, so this one has a little bit more taper to it, a little bit more of a cleaner silhouette. But if you're looking for a regular fit, they have that as well. Definitely the most dressy. Would have no problem wearing these in even a more buttoned up office. There's very little indication that these are a technical pant until you kind of feel them or you look closer. And what I mean by feel them is, these are probably the stretchiest pants on test. This is a really stretchy material. In some cases, almost too much. Like you feel like you're wearing pajamas. You kind of have to check yourself a few times to make sure that everything is kind of in position. Double belt loops in the back again to kind of keep your belt in place and not have that weird gapping pulling motion. As far as the 9 pockets are concerned, they're kind of everywhere. So let's just kind of go through them. Your standard vertical slash pocket. There's a pocket inside for credit cards, a little slip pocket that they call, I think they call this one of 2 phone pockets. It does accept my phone really well. So if you're someone who likes to carry your phone in your front pocket, no problem. And it will take a max size phone as well. What's nice about these too, there's a hidden zipper pocket inside that front pocket. So if you have something valuable or you're carrying cash or credit cards and you don't want to carry a wallet, this pocket does a great job of kind of concealing those items and securing them. And it's actually pretty deep. You can see how far down my hand goes, down the leg. You can get quite a bit in there. So, or if you're carrying a passport, for example, you might want to throw it in that pocket. Does a great job of concealing things and keeping them secure. There's a side seam pocket down the leg, down here. And again, you can fit a phone in here, no problem. But because this material is so lightweight, it really is, anything you put in here is going to print. And what I mean by print is you're going to see the outline of it through the material. And that being said, I did notice with these, this is probably too much information, but I'm going to share it anyway. I wear boxer briefs, and you can kind of see some of the seam lines, especially on the leg, through these pants relatively easily. So if you're sensitive to that, it wasn't obnoxious, but you can see things through this pant. So keep that in mind if you're sensitive to it, or you are someone who doesn't want to be able to do that. But the flip side of that is the material's super lightweight. I mean, it really is. These pants weigh nothing. And they just feel good. They drape really nice. They dress up really well. They do a lot of things really well. I know I keep saying that about a lot of these pants, but that was kind of the point, a performance hybrid pant. I don't know that I would hike in these, only because they're almost too nice. Not that they couldn't perform. The material's breathable. It's very stretchy. It has quick drying capability to it as well, so it dries really fast. But they're just, I don't know, the look of them is, I would be more comfortable date night for sure, especially if you're going to a nicer restaurant, or the office is where I would kind of wear these. And if you were caught out somewhere and you were doing something active and you just happen to have these on, you'd be fine. Definitely better than denim. But I wouldn't wear them on the trail myself. Getting back to the pockets, 2 zip pockets on the back, very standard kind of Chino pockets. And then kind of like the Toad & Company, it's probably going to be kind of hard to see, but there's this little hidden pocket up near the top of the waistband. And again, it sits above that rear pocket, almost in the same position as the Toad & Company. This one is not zippered, but again, you can get a phone in it. It basically conceals mine completely, so if you had a Max, it might stick up just a touch. There's enough width to it that it'll sit in there, and Bluffworks calls that another phone pocket. So it's very hidden, and it functions very much the same way as it did in the Toad & Company. So when you sit down with anything in that pocket, it doesn't necessarily feel like you're going to snap the phone in half, because it's sitting higher up on your hip rather than under your butt. Tapered down to the ankle a little bit, not obnoxiously so it's not going to look like you're, again, wearing baseball pants, which I did run into that with one of these others that I'll explain a bit later. Made from a lot of recycled material, which is nice, so the sustainability angle is definitely there. So they're trying to be happy to the planet. But overall, just kind of a really nice, more on the dressy side, but a really nice pant that can do a few different things. Again, I think it leans more toward the town and office side of hybrid. But, like I said, if you were caught out and you had to engage in something active and you were wearing these pants, you'd still be covered because they would perform. Hey guys, next we have the 686 Everywhere Pant, and this is the slim fit version of the pant, and I think that's key to mention because they have 4 different styles of this pant. There's slim, relaxed, straight, and wide, and that is kind of in what I would consider ascending order of bagginess, slim being the most fitted. And that being said, I wouldn't say that these are overly slim, even in their slim fit. They're definitely probably one of the most relaxed styles that I have as far as the slim fit is concerned. That's not a bad thing, but I just want you to be aware of that in case that's something that you're really keen on, or you're looking for something that's really, really tailored. These probably aren't it. And to that end, I like these pants a lot, but they're probably the most casual. And I think casual is the right word because there's another pair of pants here that's a bit of an outlier as well. But these are probably the most casual from a stylistic standpoint. They just, again, have a little bit of a looser fit. They more, they feel more like if you're a mountain biker, or maybe you were a skateboarder in a previous life, or you still are, or you're kind of any of those kind of action sports. This feels like it would align with that kind of that culture as far as stylistically, or as far as style is concerned. They just have that feel, and it's subtle things. It's nothing over the top. The branding, it's minimal, but it's just kind of in an odd spot. It's very contrasty. It shows up really, really clearly. So again, if you work in an office where that's something to be considered, you might want to be aware of that because they do kind of stand out. It's not a lot of branding, but it's just enough that they do show up a bit. It has the drawstring waistband, which is nice. So if you're not a belt guy, but you want to have a little bit of extra security in your waistband, this is nice. You can run it through the interior too. There's a hole here that you can fish the drawstring through. So if you want a hidden drawstring, or you can remove it entirely. I didn't do either, but I did use it, which was nice. 686 claims that this pant has 10 pockets, and technically it does, but with a bit of a caveat, and I'll kind of go through them. You've got your standard kind of front pocket, Chino style vertical slash pockets. There's a coin pocket on this side that's your standard kind of coin pocket. You could probably get a credit card in there if you wanted to. Same vertical slash pocket, and they are mesh back, so they breathe and stretch a little bit. This pocket, same coin pocket as on the other side, but if you can see it, this is an RFID pocket. So if you do a lot of traveling, if you're traveling overseas a lot, or you're just sensitive to that security factor, you can throw a credit card in here and nobody's going to be able to scan that, which is nice. Just kind of a nice feature. I don't know, I've never really been in a situation where I felt like I needed it, but maybe I should. So kind of nice to have. There's this vertical pocket on the left leg, and again, the zipper pull is a little bit more obvious. It's got some branding on it. Again, kind of leaning toward that casual style, but it is a nice pocket. Again, it will print a little bit, anything you put in here. Not nearly as bad as the Bluffworks one does, but if you put a phone in here, you're gonna see it, but you won't see every little ridge and crease of that phone like you would in the Bluffworks. And it's a big pocket. Again, you can see how far down it goes. It's stretchy mesh, breathes really well, stretches a bit, so that's kind of nice. Back pockets. Now this is where it gets, when I did the air quotes on 10 pockets, this is where I kind of, I don't know, I raise an eyebrow at 686. I know what they're trying to do here, I just don't know if it was necessary. Typical kind of 5-pocket styling on the back, just those open vertical pockets. But inside, and this is probably going to be hard to see, on each pocket there's this little interior pocket, and it's just kind of this nylon sewn pocket. Yeah, you could put credit cards in here. You're not going to fit a phone in here. It's pretty narrow, but credit cards or some loose cash maybe. It's in both pockets. It resides in both rear pockets. What I didn't like about it is I'm a guy that likes to carry my wallet or my phone in my back pocket. And what these did, because these pockets are just opened and they're not zippered or anything, occasionally my phone and my wallet would catch on them, which would require me to pull the phone back out, pull it away from my body more, and then slide it back down in. So I didn't find them to be all that functional, and honestly I thought that they hurt the functionality of this main pocket a little bit. Honestly, if these were my pants, I would probably try to just remove them. And it's a minimal stitching, it wouldn't be a big deal. I would just take them out, personally. And then the 10th pocket is this random little belt loop pocket. I do like this belt loop since it's wider. It's not a double belt loop like on some of the other ones, but it is a wider loop to secure your belt from doing that weird pulley thing. But there's a pocket here. And I guess you can kind of, you can make the assumptions of what you can put in here yourself, but it doesn't carry much. So there you go. There's your 10th pocket. The fit overall, like I said, is a little bit more relaxed. This is the heather gray version. They do have a ton of colors. I think, if I recall correctly, 686 in this version has 10 colors, so that's nice. Some of their sizing is a little hit or miss because I think it's mostly supply chain things on their end, but 10 colors is awesome. And this is kind of a unique heather gray look, which, I don't know that I would have picked this for myself, but now having it, I do kind of like it. And there's these reinforcement, these are going to be very durable as well. You can see these reinforced corners of the pocket, so that area that catches a lot of stress with hands and objects going in and out isn't going to be a problem. The stitching seems really, really solid. I haven't run into anything. Not probably as durable as the Toad&Co with all the riveting on the pockets and such, but I wouldn't have any qualms about these pants holding up well over time. Yeah, so again, I think if you're someone who likes a little bit more of a casual look, is looking for a bit of a blue jean replacement, and again, you can see just the cut of them. There's a little bit more room in that leg. So if you're a slim fit aficionado, these might not be the slimmest fit for you, or you could size down, which these are a little bit roomy in the waist for me. I think these are a 34, and I'm really more of a 33, so 686 doesn't have a 33. Again, whereas like some of the other pants come in individual 1-inch increment sizes, 686 doesn't do that in this pant. But nice pant, casual pant. I would probably wear this. I wouldn't have any problem taking these on a mountain bike and on a trail, going hiking, for example. If I was just going out with friends to grab some food or a quick dinner or maybe a casual bar, I wouldn't have any problem wearing these as well. I don't know that I would wear them to work if I worked in an office because, again, they do feel a little bit more casual, but I would give them the that kind of casual award. If you're looking for a pair of like casual jean replacements, but that can also, you can strap on a pair of hiking boots and go hiking, or you could hop on a mountain bike and go for a mountain bike ride. You could definitely do that with these, and they would hold up well, and they would look good afterwards when you're grabbing a beer at the brewery. They do a good job of that. Our next pair of pants on test are the outdoor researched Ferrosi transit pant. And if you're familiar with outdoor research, or you're an avid hiker or backpacker, you're probably pretty familiar with their brand, and you might be familiar with their Ferrosi line of pants and shorts. That being said, they do a lot of different versions of this material, this Ferrosi material. This transit pant is probably their most dialed back version, or dialed back style, meaning that it is very minimal in how it's not as technical. And what I mean by that is it's really your kind of your standard 5-pocket style. Again, a kind of a blue jean replacement. They're calling it their transit pant because it's designed for travel. But this material can really do double duty big time. I have a pair of their more technical Ferrosi hiking pants, and the material's the same. That pant just has more pockets and zipper pockets and such, whereas this pant is pretty much a simplified, streamlined version of that, with a little bit better, slimmer fit, not as baggy. Obviously, in an outdoor environment, you know, a pant with a little bit more room is going to give you a little bit more freedom of movement. These are, you know, a little bit more tapered. You can see that kind of the leg opening is a little bit slimmer than some of the others I've even shown you. There aren't any zippered, or, well, there is a zippered pocket, but it's hidden. I'll get to that in a minute. But there aren't any massive technical features here that are going to scream, I could erupt into a hike at any moment. There is this kind of branding it just below the pocket. It's pretty subdued, but if you're working in an office or something like that, you know, this might be a consideration. I don't know. They do feel, of all the pants here, they do feel the most technical to me, and I think it might be a little bit of bias on my part in that I do have a pair of their Ferrosi hiking pant, so I'm familiar with it. I use them a lot in the outdoors, and this material being the same kind of has that, I don't know, it's reminiscent of something a little bit more technical. There are some kind of reinforcements in the bottom of the leg, and I believe that these are reflective, so if you're a commuter, that's a good thing to have. The material is extremely stretchy, which is great. I mean, there's no, you're gonna have a hard time finding the limit of the stretch of these pants. And they're also very, very lightweight. Probably the lightest weight of all the pants here, rivaling that Bluffworks Chino pant, but they don't show as much. I know that sounds weird. I think it's just the nature of the material. They don't, like I had mentioned before, the boxer brief kind of leg line. These don't do that as much, and it might be that they're not quite as drapey, maybe. I don't know. It's an odd experience because the weight-wise they feel very similar, but the material is just different enough that they don't print as much, which is nice. Again, 5 pockets. The branding on the back pocket's a little bold, but again, if you're wearing a shirt that isn't tucked, you're not going to see it. And here's that hidden zippered pocket I was talking about. Now this one is pretty small, about the size of the pocket itself, so there isn't much to it, but again, it'll secure a wallet or some cash. I'm not going to get a phone in there, but width-wise it's fine. Vertically it's not going to happen. And again, because it sits basically right on the existing rear pocket, it is going to sit, if you had a phone in there or a credit card and you were worried about snapping it, for example, it is going to sit more under your butt than it is kind of on your hip, so just be aware of that. But it's a mesh lined pocket, so it breathes well. It does have a little stretch to it, so you can kind of pack it out if you need to. Kind of a reinforced, slightly wider rear belt buckle, not nearly as robust as the 686 was, but it does add a little bit of extra. This is a size 33 waist, and I think that they fit me just about perfect. I find them very comfortable, very breathable. They are wind and water resistant as well. So again, it leans into the more technical side of things without looking as technical. And I think the fit is really good. I probably wouldn't wear these as much to an office, although you can. The texture of the material just feels and looks ever so slightly more like a technical pant to me. I think there are better options that we've already kind of covered here if you're looking for just a casual jean style pant that you could wear to work. But you certainly could. But what I think these do great is weekends, walking your dog, going for a hike, going for a mountain bike ride, going to a casual dinner, a casual date, maybe it's a family outing. I think these could do a lot of different things really, really well. And that's not to say you can't wear them to work. It just, again, it could be bias on my part because I'm so used to the Ferrosi line and their more technical side. And if you are looking for a more technical pant, Outdoor Research offers the Ferrosi fabric in several different styles, each one a little bit more technical than this one. This is probably their most casual style. So yeah, you could wear it to work, but if you're, if you're working in a more buttoned up environment, I probably wouldn't reach for these first, but that's not to say that you couldn't. So great pant overall, but again, leans a little bit more toward the casual or technical side. Not as casual of a style as the 686, but definitely more technical in how OR approached their choice of material and the stretchiness, water resistant, wind resistant factors that kind of go into this pant. So a good kind of sleeper dark horse if you want to wear a pant that isn't obviously a hiking pant, but does have a lot of properties of a hiking pant. Okay guys, last but definitely not least, we have the Ketl Mountain Tomfoolery Chino travel pant. And this is the straight fit. It also comes in a slim fit. Everything else I have here is a slim fit except for these guys. This is their straight fit. And I would still call these a slim fit pant. Initially, I tried their slim fit, and to my comment earlier, they felt like baseball pants. My wife actually looked at me and said, "You look ridiculous." So that was all I needed to know, that was not the style for me. I think the straight fit is still a very flattering fit. It leans a little bit more toward that tailored side, not overly slim. It's a nice straight cut. I really like the fit of these pants. They're probably my favorite fit, and take that with a grain of salt because, again, like I said at the very top of this video, that's very specific and very personal to the person wearing them, but I really like the fit of these pants. The material is polyester. It's got a lot of stretch to it. There are some reinforcements in the knee, very, very subtle, so you can probably get away with them in a work environment. This is, again, a Chino style, so you've got the vertical pockets here with reinforcements in the bottom, again, to kind of keep that wear and tear at bay. The rear pockets are kind of interesting, as you've got one kind of open vertical pocket here. Well, when I say open, I'll get to that. And then this flap pocket, kind of your standard Chino flap pocket. So you've got a little, two different pockets. I don't know. That didn't bother me at all. My wife called it out that she thought it was odd, but didn't bother me at all. Again, getting back to the stretch, the waist has some stretch and give to it. Not a ton, but enough that if you are in between sizes or you put on 5 pounds, it's not going to be an issue. There is this drawstring, interior drawstring, so it's hidden. It's kind of nice. I have used it. It works great. And as you can see here, this kind of silicone gripper inside, I think it does two things. It keeps the pants in place against your skin or against the waistband of your boxers. But if you do tuck something into that, it's going to keep the tucked shirt in place as well. Really nice feature, and there's plenty of it. It's all over the interior of the pant. So that's really nice to have. These double belt loops again to kind of keep the belt from doing that weird pulley thing. So these pants are a bit of there's a lot of irony to these pants, at least for me. Overall, they're probably my favorite pant of this entire group. We've had some really good contenders in here, and I think there are some pants in here that do things better than this pant, but overall, kind of the overall hybrid performance pant, I think this is my favorite because it does exactly what I wanted it to. It's low-key enough I could wear this to work in an office. especially in this Chino style that looks a little bit more refined than a 5-pocket kind of blue jean style. So it does that well. It's got those performance features, so if you're out on the trail and you're hiking in these, plenty of stretch. They breathe relatively well, not as breathable as some of the others in the group, and I think that comes down to the nature of the polyester as opposed to maybe the nylon spandex and some of these others. But they do breathe fine. You know, Ketl Mountain says that they're water resistant, and yeah, or they dry quickly and they're water resistant. They do better than denim, for sure. Not as well as some of the nylon spandex pants. If you're out in the rain, you're gonna get wet in these pants. You're gonna get wet in any of them, but these are gonna probably wet out quicker than some of the others. They did ever so slightly bag out in the knees a little bit, and what I mean by bag out is, if you're familiar with denim, after you wear them, especially if you sit down, say you wear denim to an office and you're sitting in a chair for 8 hours working at a desk, the knees are going to start to stretch, and then when you stand up you kind of get that little bagged out look of the knee. These will do that a little bit, not nearly as quickly and not nearly as bad as denim will, but they will bag out slightly. And that's after several wearings. So I did wear these. I took these on a weekend trip and I wore them 3 times. By the end of that 3rd wearing, I could see the knees were starting to stretch a little bit. Very minimal, but if it's something that, again, you're sensitive to, there is that. Like I said, I like the way they look. I think the functionality for the most part is there. The technical aspects of the stretchy material is really nice. But there are some quirks to this pant, and that's what I mean when I said that I think these pants are a bit ironic, that I like them so much, but there are some things that really bug me about them. They've been washed twice. You can see like the branding on the inside of the waistbands are already coming apart. Now this is just a heat transfer, is my assumption, but I mean after 2 washings that's already coming off. Not a big deal. I mean, nobody really cares about that. It just makes me wonder what else might deteriorate over time or more quickly than I would like it to. That's not to say that anything will, and this is a very minor thing. There's nothing else on these pants is really showing any signs of wear, but it just has me curious. Also, because this is polyester and not nylon spandex, I've had a pair of polyester stretchy pants in the past that I consider a hybrid performance pant, and they did start to pill over time. I've seen no evidence of any pilling on these pants. Again, I've only had them, I've only been testing them for a few weeks, so I wouldn't expect to see pilling yet, but if that does happen, I will update this video, or at least in the comments, to let you guys know. But I mean, so far they're holding up great. Here are the things that I don't like about this pant, and they're just kind of annoying and they're always there. The front pockets, these vertical Chino pockets, are zippered pockets, and you can't get away from it. Whereas like in the Bluffworks pant or some of the others, there was a pocket on the inside of this front pocket that was hidden that you didn't have to use if you didn't want to, but it was there and you could still just slide your hand in and out of the regular pocket. Whereas this one, you have to, I'm a person that likes to put my hands in my pocket. I don't know, it's just like how I like to walk around. It's kind of my thing. These I basically have been wearing them completely unzipped the entire time, which is fine, but the subtle things here is that the opening of the pocket is not huge, and I wouldn't consider myself to have giant hands. When I wear gloves, I usually get a size large, but I don't have, sausage fingers or anything. The width of the pocket is almost the width of my hand. So if you have something in your hand or you're trying to reach for something in here, there isn't a lot of room, a lot of wiggle room to get things in and out along with your hand. And if you have bigger hands than me, you're gonna run to that even more. There's a stretchy mesh on the inside that breathes and stretches, which is really nice. But this zipper just bugs me. It's a much cleaner look when it's zipped. It holds that pocket very clean against the side of the leg of the pant, which looks nice, but then you have to manually unzip this if you want to reach in or just put your hand in your pocket. And if you walk around with it unzipped, like I do, it bags a little bit, bags out a bit, and then there's this orange lining in here that may show in occasion, depending on how you're looking at them. So just kind of annoying, or honestly, I just wish that, and it's on both sides, FYI, I wish Ketl Mountain wouldn't have put zippers on the front pockets. I just don't think it's necessary, especially with the back pockets both being secured, and I'll get to that in a minute. Or if they did, maybe just one of them, or hide the zipper pocket inside the open pocket, much like they did on the Bluffworks pant. I think that's a little bit more, it's a cleaner look. It's hidden and you just, I don't know, on a Chino style pant, I would rather it looked a little cleaner than having it kind of buckled out here and seeing the side of the zipper. And then your hand rubs on the zipper. If you leave it open like this, your hand does rub on it. It just kind of feels uncomfortable. Then the back pockets. Both again are secured. This, what looks like an open rear pocket, is a hidden zipper pocket. Just like the front, there's no option to get around it. It's not a very deep pocket. And if you, like me, I like to slide my phone in my back pocket just when I'm getting out of the car. Can't do it without unzipping this pocket. And then this one being a button pocket, again, it's secured, which is nice, but none of these pockets, Ketl Mountain's very concerned about security apparently, because they're all secured. It's just, I don't know, it's an odd decision and it feels a little unnecessary to me. Maybe it'll work for you, for your use case, but for me, I would have liked to have just had one or the other. Secured rear or secured front, or just one front, or no, I don't know. Just one secured pocket, honestly, would probably have been enough. But if that's something that's important to you, these definitely deliver on that. The branding. I think the branding is a little, I don't know, a little much. Orange sits a little lower, so you're definitely going to see it. So again, if you're sensitive to that in a work kind of office environment, just be aware of it. The waist, the sizing on these is odd. And Ketl Mountain is kind of similar to 686 in that some of their sizing is hit or miss, depending on the color you're looking for or the style. I think it's probably a supply chain thing. I know that they're a smaller company, so they're probably struggling with that a little bit. So I'll give them a little grace on that. The sizing on these pants is something to consider as well. Ketl Mountain does this thing where they size small, medium, large, extra large, and so on. But they're good enough to give you a waist range within those. And the waist range is interesting. So for example, the medium is a 31 to 33. The large is a 33 to 35. Okay, sounds good. But I would say they run a little big. So I've initially tried, I'm a 33 waist, pretty traditionally. I tried both the large and the medium, both that hit that 33 number. The large was enormous. Like the waist was just way too big. They looked sloppy. Again, they felt more like what I used to wear as a skater in the 80s as far as baggy pants, just kind of living that lifestyle. The medium fits much better. And again, that's the 31 to 33. So if I were on the lower end of that scale, like if I was a 31, I would still think that these are probably too big. Now the 33, I'm at the top end of that scale. I don't feel like they're tight at all. And again, there's some give in this waist, which is really nice. So it gives you some versatility, but be aware of that sizing. If you like your pants a little bit more fitted, size down. If you like them a little looser and roomier, then size up. But if you're in between, just be aware, like I was, I hit kind of right in that between, I definitely wanted to size down. But again, I think these are probably, even with all those weird quirks in the pockets and such, probably my favorite pants. And that's just because the stretch is dialed, the fit is dialed. I wouldn't personally have any problem wearing these into an office. I know the branding's a little, but it wouldn't really bother me too much. And they have enough of a refined look with that kind of that Chino style. I just wish that the pockets and the zippers weren't so plentiful, personally. But overall, again, probably my favorite of the bunch. Okay, guys, that wraps up our hybrid performance pant roundup. If you have any specific questions about any particular pant or any particular feature within a pant, drop it down in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you and answer that. Visit us at activegearreview.com for more in-depth gear reviews for your active lifestyle.